Hey everyone, Hunter here from Gaming by Gamers. On today's episode, we're going to be reviewing 3 more Spider-Man games, but I'm kind of running late, so let's just skip to the end and see what happens. Make me want to kill myself, but they're not. Well, that's not very encouraging. To start this one off, we're going to be playing a game that's particularly famous for its red cartridge. That's going to be Spider-Man and Venom, Maximum Carnage. We start off with the character roster. So far, there's a ton of expanded universe characters that we haven't seen in the games before. Like, a lot of characters. Like, a lot. Okay, yeah, we get it. There's a lot of characters. Going into the story, we have some comic panels ripped straight from the series that this was based on. So that's really cool. Carnage escapes custody and is after Spider-Man and Venom. Let's check out the actual gameplay. Oh, another beat 'em up. We can really only compare this to the Spider-Man arcade game from the last episode. And that was a lot of fun, so this game has a lot to live up to. Starting off, I noticed that the music was pretty good. Turns out, it's a real band that just computerized one of their songs. It fits well with the tone of the game. There's also an uncredited Black Sabbath song that plays during the boss fight with Doppelganger. Now I love getting copyright strikes on YouTube as much as the next guy, but I'm gonna exclude that part of the song from the video. But let's get back to the game. How is it? Well, so far hit detection is good, punches feel powerful, and it has more moves than the arcade game. That being said, the difficulty is ramped up in this game, and once again only one continue. I guess because it's on a home console and you aren't paying a quarter every time you die, it makes it a little less infuriating. But damn, this game is hard! The boss battle at the end is these 2 women who swing their hair at you and can block your attacks. Huh, I never pictured Spider-Man as an equal rights, equal fights kind of guy, but here we are. After you beat the first mission, you have to climb up a building. Swinging is good and fluid, but I still enjoyed the side-scrolling from the arcade game as a break from the beat-em-up action. After a few more missions, you get the choice of playing as Spider-Man or Venom, and they both have completely different missions based on who you pick. A really cool feature that was ahead of its time. It really gives the game a lot of replay value. I won't go over the Venom parts too much because this is a Spider-Man show. He has the same moveset, but he does feel more powerful. Honestly though, I think that's just the placebo effect. So as Spider-Man, we do what most beat 'em ups do. Beat 'em up. Nothing too groundbreaking here. It's fun, but with having to constantly restart from the beginning every time I died twice, it just makes the game feel way too long. Maybe I'm just a casual, but after facing Billy for the 1000th time, it starts to get a little old. What really bothers me though is that this game would have been perfect for co-op. Player 1 could have been Spider-Man and player 2 could have been Venom, working side by side. I think they chose to omit this though because it would affect the story. Speaking of the story, it's pretty decent, but I do have to give credit to the comic writers for that, because like I said earlier, this is just an adaptation of the comic set. What really bothered me though is how many times we saw repeat villains. You fight Shriek and Doppelganger more times than he has arms. It is cool though to see all these unusual characters like Cloak and Dagger, especially when you use Cloak's sidekick move and he just takes care of everyone on screen. Once you get to the end, you fight Carnage, and you can switch back and forth between Spider-Man and Venom. A really cool idea that I found myself using a lot. After you beat him, they roll credits and you can replay the game, but this time try the other character's side of the story. With the replay value, interesting character lineup, and comic book style cutscenes, I want to give this game a 7 out of 10 web shooters, but because of the difficulty, no checkpoints, and repeat boss fights, I'm gonna bump it down to a 5. Not horrible, but just average. Next, we're going to be playing The Amazing Spider-Man Lethal Foes, a 1995 Famicom game only released in Japan. The title screen is a little bland. It starts off with someone yelling, "Spider-Man! Spider-Man!" But they sound so weird. It sounds more like someone was answering a trivia question rather than being excited.
This character was bitten by a radioactive spider and is ruining Hunter Clark's career.
Spider-Man! Starting off, I was reminded that this game was only released in Japan. Normally now is when I would cover the story, but I don't speak Japanese. Oh, wait, I recognize that. It has something to do with a doctor. So yeah, we're going to skip talking about the story for this game. Next up is graphics. So far it looks great. Spider-Man is a lot more detailed than he was in the last game, and this only came out a year after that. His animations are nice and fluid as well, so that's always a plus. I also want to point out that if you set down the controller and just let it sit for a few seconds, Spider-Man will just stare at you disapprovingly. I love when games have charm like this. Gameplay wise, it feels like a generic side-scrolling action game. Punch, kick, and web up the enemies and get to the end. But why does Spider-Man walk like such a creep? That's not how a superhero should walk. I fell down a hole a few times learning the controls, and the game over screen is a newspaper saying Spider-Man lost. I think it's supposed to show your dead body when you lose in a fight, but because I fell, it just shows a brick wall, and JJ looks pissed. Once we transverse the skyscrapers without falling, we go fight the first boss, Beetle. For those of you who don't know who Beetle is, he's basically just Iron Man, if Iron Man was an asshole. This is actually a really good boss fight. Beetle has a lot of cool moves and feels fair because he projects his attacks. I also want to point out that the game over screen and the finishing screen is the same thing. Damn, JJ, what will make you happy? That was a fun boss battle. Now we're going to the subway. From here, the game gets harder. After you go down some stairs, you're gonna go under them and go into the sewers. Now this is a huge maze-like area with everything looking similar because all the wall textures are the same. You get lost very easy, and don't forget, you're on a timer. Eventually, you find your way out and fight the lizard. This battle is harder than the first, but not impossible. Moving on, we have the same stuff. Just avoid or kill the spider slayers and get to the end boss. Let's give it a try. Whoa, hey, slow down, hey, what are you doing? Stop!
Well, now I know why this game was only released in Japan. I can't even get this guy to half health without him grabbing me and gouging my eyes out.
For the sake of time, we're gonna cut this short. I'll spoil the rest for you. It's the same thing with levels just getting progressively harder, but nothing really special or stand out about it. After playing a decent chunk, we're gonna give this a 4 out of 10 comic book covers.
Alright, back to sequel territory. Not to Lethal Foes though, this is actually a sequel to Maximum Carnage. This is going to be Spider-Man and Venom, Separation Anxiety. For Maximum Carnage we did play on the SNES, but for this time we're going to be playing on the Sega Genesis.
So the first thing is the title screen. The first one was decent, but this one is bad. It doesn't even say it's a Spider-Man game. If your friend was playing this game and you just walked in, you would think that they were playing a game about me and my Xbox. I will say the music does help. Once we start, we get to choose between Spider-Man and Venom. This time the levels are the same, but hey, there's co-op. Moving on to the story, let's check out some of the cutscenes. A wall of text? What happened to the comic panels? Those were way better than just an MLA formatted essay. My god, is there a lot to read? The story is, the Life Foundation captured Venom and took 5 of his spawn. Now he has to team up with Spider-Man to stop them from creating an army. Getting into the game, we start off in the middle of the street.
So far, so good.
This is a sequel to Maximum Carnage, so it's expected that it's going to be another beat-em-up. And that's not a bad thing, I like beat-em-ups. And beat-em-ups or side-scrolling action games is really all you could do in 1995. Same controls and moves as the first game. That being said, the web shooter is a lot less lenient and takes forever to recover from, making me not really want to use it. I know I made a joke about it earlier, but why did they put this pole in front of everything? All it does is get in the way and make it hard to see. Graphics wise, it's alright. It only came out a year after the first one, and I think it suffers a lot from that. You start to notice that this game is more or less just more of the first one. Enemies are reused, levels start to feel the same, and your moves are the exact same from the first game. Annoyingly, they added a feature that makes you auto pick up anyone if you get close enough. This leads to a lot of unfair hits because it takes you a second to recover after picking them up. Holy hell, Spider-Man just yeeted that man off screen. Maybe this is a cool feature. There are some improvements. We have secret rooms to give the game a little more depth. Also, they took away the continue screen and added a password system. Let's get to the important question. Is it fun? Well, yes and no. Gameplay in the first one was pretty solid, but nothing innovative, and this game follows the same path. You beat people up and move to the right. The enemies are very generic. They stopped giving everyone names, and this time wait a minute, what the hell did he just shoot me with?
Is this guy trying to run the streets or defend Boston from the British?
They brought back the girls from the first game, but this time they're not the boss battle. That would be Digger. He's a super easy boss. All you have to do is stand close and spam A until he dies. Okay, we beat level 1, but we didn't get a password. What's going on here? Well, after doing some digging online, it turns out that you only get a password on level 4, 8, 13, and 14. Wow, I lost a lot of lives in the first level. No way could I get through 4 more before even getting a password, though there is some opportunities to get some extra lives. Right at the beginning, instead of going right, go left and you'll find a secret area. Everyone is a one-shot kill, so knock them all out and you can get the extra life. But these are far and few in between. Luckily for me, they have a code and you can get unlimited lives. So we're gonna be taking that route. For the password selection, I think the person designing it had a stroke. It starts with B, and just random letters of the alphabet are cut out. What happened there? What's wrong with the normal alphabet? Now that we got that, we can make it to level 2, right outside the Life Foundation. For some reason, we're fighting the Cobra Command from G.I. Joe. Beat all these guys up and we get to the end of a broken bridge. I don't know where to go from here. It looks like the only way out is to jump off the bridge. I can't believe it's come to this. I'm actually gonna jump. If there's any cosmic being out there that wants me to stop, give me a sign. All right, that's it. Well, after playing just a few levels, I can see where this is going. I know that it sounds dumb to say that a beat-em-up game is repetitive, but there are some things they could have done to make the game more fun. First would be adding more enemy types. After the first level, all you fight for the rest of the game is this dollar store Cobra Commanders, and 2 types of robots. That makes fighting them become a chore. Another thing they could have done was have something to break up the beat-em-up action, and do something like a side-scroller or web-slinging mission from the first one. When it's just button mash after button mash for the entire game, it gets boring quick. This game is very similar to Maximum Carnage. It has some pros like adding co-op, but the repetitive gameplay, removal of comic style cutscenes, and lazy characters make me have to give this a 2 out of 5 Spider-Man suits.
Alright, that's all we're gonna have time for today. It's hard because these games didn't make me want to kill myself, but they're not fun enough to go back and play. What are you gonna do, I guess? Thank you so much for watching, I really do appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more, subscribe, hit that little bell button, that'll notify you when the next episode of web series is out. Thanks, and have a What is that?